Hello and welcome. My name is Raul Fernandez of Raul Fernandez Photography. You can catch me online at raulfernandezphotography.com or facebook.com/Raul Fernandez Photography. This is a Photoshop tutorial where I'm going to teach you how to make images like this one, where you create some sort of a border. I personally like to use white, and then have a 3D popping effect where the photo is partially coming out through the frame, and you can maybe see a little bit of the shadow here on this one. I take all my own photos, and then I will apply this effect to whichever photos I like. So you'll get photos like that one. You can do just about anything with the beam and person, car. Just have to do with different opacity levels. Maybe a little bit more nature, an insect, a dragonfly, more flowers. You can choose whatever size frame you want, a branch, for instance, or even more people. Okay, see the shadows once again. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to start out with one image. I'm going to start out with this one, and I need a color version and a black and white version. I personally like to use Lightroom, Adobe Lightroom, to make the change. We're going to mainly be working with our black and white layer, okay, and mainly with the layer. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to unlock the layer by holding Alt and double clicking, and there we go, that layer is unlocked. And for this particular image, my line tool, which is right under the arrow right here, line tool, I like it to be 55 pixels, and make sure we're working with white. I personally like to make my borders white. So it doesn't really matter how long you make the line, as long as you are able to make it straight. That's the important part. So before we make the line, we're going to, of course, make a layer, new layer, and the default settings are fine. You can hit OK, and you can go back layer, new layer, layer once again, and make a second layer. So now we're going to make these, which each one is going to be made a duplicate. So we're going to have four of these in total. And then we're going to have another layer that's a little different. So go to Layer, New, and Layer again. This time make sure the mode is set to Screen. And make sure you click or you check Fill with Screen Neutral Color, Black. Make sure that's checked. Hit OK. So now you've got these three additional layers. Make sure your black layer is just above your photo layer. Okay, so we're going to be working right now with layer 1, and I'm going to start my border. Like I said, I like 55 pixels. It's just about as thick as I'd like it for this particular photo. It might vary from photo to photo for you. So now that we made that, that's not nearly long enough, of course. I'm going to actually change the size of that. I'm going to make it come out just about there. A little less here. There we go. And little down. There we go. Alright. So now that I have where this layer is going to be, I'm going to go ahead and duplicate it. Well, actually, I'm going to check OK, the changes, and then I'm going to duplicate it. You can either shortcut Control-J, or drag it down here, or right-click and duplicate layer. They'll all do the same. So, okay, now we have two copies of this layer. I'm going to go to Layer 1 Copy, use my arrow key, and hold down to the spot where I want the photo to the frame to come out. Right? That's nice, but it's not completely where I want it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold both layer 1 and layer 1 copy, and I'm going to move it roughly to where I think it might be best. So maybe about there, a little more to the left. Alright, then I'm going to work with layer 1 copy alone and raise that up just a bit. There we go. Alright, I like that. That looks good. Now I'm going to go to layer 2, and I'm going to make the line again. This time I'm going to make the vertical line. Again, it doesn't matter where you make it, as long as it's straight. That's the important part. Alright, so there's... uh-oh. That curved at the end. Let's do that again. Alright, so that's my straight line. I'm going to go back to the arrow, and I'm going to move it. And I like to zoom in very, very close, so that I can see exactly where I'm getting myself into. just to align it properly. There we go. That's good. And I'm going to stretch it out. And there we go. Check that off. That's good. Then I'm going to duplicate that layer, Control J, and then the new layer, layer 2 copy, I'm going to be moving over to complete the circle, or the square, or rectangle as it were. So as that's moving, what we're eventually going to be doing in just a moment is we're going to flatten the top 5 layers down into one layer. This is going to help us work with the color layer a little bit. So once again, I'm going to zoom in, and I'm going to make sure it's aligned, and there we go, perfect. Alright, so now merging 5 layers, you can shortcut Control E or right click merge layers, either one. So now you see it all went black. So the way to fix that is come over here, change from normal to screen, and there we go, we got that back. So now we're going to do the magic wand tool. I'm going to use that one and check, make sure you're working with layer 2 copy. In fact, we'll rename that to border layer. We're going to right click, duplicate layer, and we're going to duplicate it onto our color image. And OK. Now with the magic wand tool you just selected, you're going to select inside the box. Make sure you select the border layer, otherwise if you select the background it'll select the whole thing. Now that we've selected the box, we are going to run into background, right click on that box you selected and layer via copy. And there we go, we have a copy of inside of the box. I'm going to right click on that layer, duplicate it, and duplicate it onto our color layer. And then OK. And there you go. We have that step, and that's good. So now what we're going to do is going to go back to the color layer. We are going to get the background up and take this off, and we're going to be working with the background layer itself. So now I'm going to get the quick select tool, quick selection, and I'm going to select everything that I want to be popping out of the frame. Okay, so I'm going to want these petals. There we go, that's good right there. I don't need much more than that. And I'm also going to want these green leaves to pop out a bit. There we go. And it's okay if you get a little. You can either deselect it by holding Alt, negative selection, or you can just erase the selection later. Either one will do fine. Okay, so now that I have that, right click, layer via copy, and I'm going to right click, duplicate layer, and copy it onto my black and white layer, or image. And there you go, you see that that's popping out. So go ahead and you can join me on the second half of the video to see how we finish this up.